Let's introduce the next inspiring lady who will take part in finding of solutions.
She is the founder and CEO of PlanA.Earth, a Berlin-based startup developing an algorithm which predicts where and how climate change will hit the hardest, and a software that helps businesses reduce their emissions by 50% within a year while saving money doing so.
She also recently founded the Green Tech Alliance, a collection of 300 plus startups which are connected to over 200 advisors from VC, media and business who help them monthly with advice and feedback.
Prior to PlanA, she worked in investment banking, venture capital and fintech in Asia and Europe. She was recently announced as 30 Under 30 Social Entrepreneur of 2020 by Forbes, an entrepreneur to watch in Germany.
We are happy to introduce you Lubomila Yordanova.
Let's hear more from her.
Hi, my name is Lubomila. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PlanA. Today I'm going to tell you my story of how I found my company and why I believe the sustainable future is the one ahead of us. My journey started in 2017. I was supposed to be going on a surf trip with some friends of mine, and I was quite excited for the pristine beaches that I was going to see in Morocco and the incredible nature that I was going to be surrounded by. Instead of this, on the first day, I ended up seeing this. This was the most famous beach that was there for surfers with really big waves, and people were flocking in there on a daily basis. The truth was that instead of it being well taken care of, it was covered in plastic. I was sitting on the side of the beach where I actually could wait and observe my friends who were surfing on the side where there was not that much plastic. And as I was getting more and more frustrated with the view, I ended up standing up and essentially collecting some plastic and all sorts of trash that was there. There was shoes, there was burnt plastic bottles, there was glass bottles, and there was a lot of different evidence of the existence of humans. At that point of time, my knowledge about climate change was as big as this dot on the screen. I didn't know what was the correlation between pollution and climate change. I didn't know that humans had a lot to do with it. Of course, I was aware of a lot of challenges we would be facing, and this debate was becoming more and more evident, but it was definitely not something that was overwhelmingly part of my life. I went to the places where we usually go when you're curious and concerned. I read a lot of books, I watched a lot of videos, listened to a lot of podcasts, subscribed to some pop culture magazines. They were giving me an idea of where the future is going and why we should be doing a lot more on the topic of climate change. Three particular conclusions came, and they were the ones that defined the future of my company. First of all, it was the fact that businesses were the key to address the climate change crisis. Why? Because they were contributing 70% of emissions on this planet. The second challenge was the fact that even though we had so much scientific evidence out there, we were still not using the knowledge and implementing the solutions that were suggested by professionals working in the field. The third and incredibly important one was the fact that there was a need for a collaborative approach to address climate change worldwide. We worked really hard to understand how we can put these challenges together and translate them into products, and a lot happened for the 3 years that we've existed. First of all, and probably last of all, because it's the last product we've released, we have offered a software to companies that helps them calculate, monitor and reduce their emissions. We work with large companies like BMW, BCG, and many, many more, football clubs as well, that observe through our platform their emissions and take action to reduce their emissions. The second thing that we built was an algorithm that uses more than 300,000 data points related to oceans, forests, wildlife, sustainable living, sustainable energy and waste management, and maps out essentially what are the agendas on a country and on an industry level in order for us to prepare for the future ahead of us. For this algorithm, we've used many of the data sets of now friends and partners of ours from incredible organizations like World Resource Institute, Bundesentwicklungshilfe, German Watch, also Eurostat and the World Bank and many, many more to add to our ambitious project accuracy and alignment to science. We also have built a community. As mentioned before, we know that it's really important to not do this alone. PlanA by itself can have a huge impact, but it's never going to be a successful company if it's not for all the other companies pushing for the green agenda. For this, we've built a community of over 400 startups by now in the beginning of this year, in May this year. All of these startups have been interviewed and checked for their commitment to sustainability, to the science, and they are connected on a monthly basis with more than 200 advisors who help them solve different problems that they face. Anyone is welcome to join, and if anyone from the audience is building a business, please feel free to reach out. So what does PlanA do and what does PlanA use? PlanA works with a lot of data, with a lot of science, a lot of methodologies that give us really clear path on what actions need to be taken for companies. But it also has built a community because this transfer of knowledge is incredibly important, and it's really crucial for all of us at the moment to work together and align across the world for the green tech agenda and the green agenda altogether. So for these three conclusions that we have come up with, that I found at the end of my educational journey in 2017, I can comfortably say that we've worked on all of them for the last 3 years. But how can you be part of the solution? How can you get involved without necessarily having to set up a green company or without having necessarily to work in the field as someone that represents the government or someone that works on the corporate side? Gain knowledge. What we've learned for the years that PlanA has existed is that the more knowledgeable you are about the topic, the more aligned you are to the facts and the more you're willing to take action because you know the sense of urgency. As I always like to be practical, I would like to suggest here some reliable sources that I use on a daily basis. One is Bloomberg Green, that focuses on corporate related news about climate change. Carbon Brief, that is a collective of a lot of people that are authority in the climate change field from the scientific and media perspective, and of course New York Times. Find a tribe. Well, I don't think I would have been able to do any of the things that I have been mentioning if it was not for the phenomenal groups of people that I've connected myself with. And here's an opportunity for you to connect with them as well. Green Tech Alliance, of course, has been mentioned. For those of you based in Bulgaria, of course, you know MOVE.BG. I would also like to mention Fridays for Future, that is particularly active across the world, and I think in Bulgaria as well. My Climate Journey is a podcast that turned into a community and is really exciting to see how quickly it has grown on the other side of the world in the US. And Climate Action Tech, which is a community for tech professionals who are looking on how they can spend their voluntary time with topics related to sustainability and climate change. And finally, do. Well, I'm sure many of you know a lot about the different tactics that you can take to make your life more sustainable. Here's a few examples that I think are kind of the basics for all of us. And it would be great if you consider taking one or two in your day-to-day. First of all, if you see trash, pick it up. This is a picture from the Ocean Cleanup, a really popular project, I'm sure, for many of you. But for all of these trash pieces to get to where you see them in this particular photo, that means that a lot of people saw the trash and didn't pick it up and didn't put it into the waste management system. If you see something, pick it up. You're going to do something good for the planet, and I'm sure you're going to feel a lot better after as well. Second, of course, is calculate your carbon footprint. I think calculating your carbon footprint is, and I'm sure it will become, one of the basics within the next 5 to 10 years for every single person and every single company on this planet. But if you take the action now, you're going to be a lot better prepared and understand a lot better what kind of sustainable activities you need to take in order to be less negatively impacting the planet. And finally, probably something that many of you here in the audience do is bring your own bottle. It's really easy to always grab the plastic bottle from the supermarket, maybe because it's cold, maybe because it's sparkling water, maybe because it's something else, or not necessarily the water, but like some drink. But the truth is that this is one of the biggest contributors of plastic pollution on this planet. And if all of us take an action on this, we can eliminate a really big chunk of what you saw 2 photos before. So the year is 2020, and my knowledge about climate change has increased as much, and I'm sure yours as well, with the influences that we've had over the last few years. But it wouldn't have been for my knowledge, or my knowledge wouldn't be important at all if it was not for the knowledge of others who have been a crucial part in the contributing of learnings and solutions in PlanA's existence. So today, I encourage you to think of how you can be part of this movement, how you can be part of this new challenge that we face, and find your path to sustainability, because there's no plan B for our planet. Thank you so much. Please feel free to get in touch on LinkedIn or over email.